So, I was randomly inspired as I was driving down the road that I should get in camera and talk about a few things. Because I write all the time. I'm very, very busy, like very busy all the time, right? So, even though I'm in marketing and psychology, I don't always connect that people might have a more realistic experience with what I write if I say it on video and I just kind of like write because I'm busy, and I'm like, I need to say this. That's why I'm always am just like, I need to say this, right? So that's why how I use social media is that I'm just like compelled to say the things I say. So first, let me give you some background. Okay, so my name is Adam. I'm really talking to like friends and family here. So I grew up as kind of like a hobby engineer. It started out with Legos when I was like 4 and 5. I was really, really big into Legos and inventing things with Legos, using my imagination. I always had a very strong fixation on robots. Around between several Christmases, when we finally started celebrating Christmas, one Christmas my parents got me a book on QBasic programming. Another Christmas they got me a electronics engineering set, so I learned electronics engineering, resistors and diodes and putting circuits together, reading circuits, making different things with circuits. I kind of just studied mechanical engineering as I go. Mechanical engineering is not very difficult to me. I have a very kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like I feel the energy in the parts inside me moving, and I see it and I visualize it. So mechanical engineering becomes very naturally to me. I may not know the definitions for everything, but I can do pretty much everything else anybody else can do. So I can build robots, and living, I don't know exactly why, but I never felt it was necessary to put prototypes together. I've never really been into prototyping things because, what I'm seeing happening in my mind is just so close to, I know how it would work. I'm just putting different designs together in my mind until, and researching fringe technologies online and stuff. So, until I really get to something I really am interested in. And I've always had a lifelong fascination with AI. Movies like Short Circuit, Star Trek, Star Wars. There's all these robots, growing up and born in 1985, in the 90s, 1990 to 2000s. There's all these robots, right? Well, I know there's obviously people that came before me, and there's people that are more driven in a specific field. It doesn't alienate me from my capabilities. And the psychology in that area can get really weird because there's people with like a lot of different types of personality disorders and isolated life experiences and not a lot of understanding on what other people's capabilities are, and it's very competitive, and there's a disconnection between what they're actually heading towards. What they're actually heading towards is they call it technological advancement singularity. I know what singularities are, but I was calling it, I've never been a part of that world, like this, how AI has been developing in Facebook and I don't remember his name. There's a famous neuroscientist involved with a library out. I was researching his library in 2015. So I've never really been a part of it. I kind of, from imposter syndrome, I wouldn't go and poke in it, so I feel better. Like, okay, now I don't feel like a fraud, because most of the things I do is like from raw intelligence, and I don't have any vocabulary for anything. So, I go in there, poke around, don't feel like a fraud. But I've never, it's like this whole culture thing, and people's expectations are being set by the culture and the social dynamics and who they think there are in this world. If there's a chain of people, there's this guy, then there's this guy, there's this guy, there's finally me. all this stuff doesn't have to happen, for one, and I don't do it. And I have capabilities, very big capabilities. So I have massive capabilities. By the time I was 18, I got to what I call Automation X, and it's really not that complicated. What it is just you build, or like I program. So I told you I'm an electronics engineer, mechanical engineer, and I'm a programmer, right? So I can put the entire thing together, and I came up with the idea in my head I could build robots that have that copy their code, that build other robots just like them and copy their code over, and I can just buy a bunch of parts and put it there, program the robot to do that. So now I have robots building robots, and after the robot has built a bunch of robots for me, now they can go build other things. So I call it automation to the power of X. So that alone, if you think about, like, what can you do? If it's just you working with your hands, what can you get done in a day? Right? What if there are 1 million of you? What if you could have 1 million of you in a week? Right? So these are huge capabilities, right? And you can't really ever disconnect the fact that what that produces. People think of the terms in life of how they grew up in their social dynamics and how they were competing with people in their environment, what became important to them by what was communicated. So, people may not have anything to do with robots, may not understand it, may not understand automation, programming, anything, but they like construction work, right? And so they're competing with each other, who's the best construction worker, who can build the best decks, right? Well, that's like a subset of what you do in science and engineering world. It's just like, it's like one thing, right? It's not really something anyone's going to be like in a competition about. If they were, it'd be kind of a friendly competition, right? It's not going to take themselves too seriously, right? So the fact is, we can have robots do that, and it's not difficult. It's not hard. We could have robots put together robots and put together 20-bedroom mansions very easily from raw materials. Very easily. I can do this, right? Adam, me, this person that lives with Michelle's grandma right now and works a part-time job at Amazon. I can do this, and it's not exciting for me that I can do it, because I've been doing this my entire life, studying these things. But they are big capabilities. So what I've been doing is I've been building. I don't want my stuff stolen. It's very important that my stuff doesn't get stolen, because it's very dangerous. My AI model number 8 and 221B, they're far more advanced than ChatGPT. I'll tell you that. I use ChatGPT all the time. I love ChatGPT. I love the fact that it's there. You have a team of people handling the risks for it, because I want to use my technology and I can't, because I've had hackers on my back since 2000, and it looks like 2015 that I noticed a lot of unusual activity around my computer. And it hasn't stopped. So, and that was after I started talking about AI on Facebook. I started getting unusual activity. And the fact is, if somebody that will not take the time to educate themselves in neuroscience, will not take the time to educate themselves in software engineering, all these other things, to just do it themselves, like, why are you actually going stealing other people's stuff? Why is this all going on? This, what's it called? Corporate espionage. That's what it's called. Espionage. Why is this all going on? Why does this go on between governments? I don't get it because I don't like I see your accomplishments. You make these jets, you make these missiles and stuff, but they're really not that exciting. If I wanted to do that, I could. I just, I live in this really uneducated world with a lot of very angry, ornery people going around attacking other people for saying they can do things, which is really destructive to people's health. Like, no, you can't do that. I can do that, or Elon Musk can do that, but you can't do that. It's stupid, right? It's ridiculous. But that's the world I live in. So we need to fix that, and I've been working on things that fix that in private. So and then I can bring my capabilities out. I don't have people on my back that I have these massive capabilities, or hurting anyone's feelings or anything. So, ultimately, this is what I started recording this for. What, I kind of came to the eventual. I've been becoming progressively less selfish as the years go on. I'm really interested in what I do. I really like my hobbies and my work and stuff. I take it very seriously. But I think that I could leave more room for what I love the most, which are people, all of you. And that really started with the lean marketing, when I realized that the problems that we have this severe unbalance between the collective society's capabilities and the collective society's maturity. And that could be solved if people got an education. Because it's not really even about the knowledge. It's about what you have to do to get to the knowledge, right? You're being patient with yourself. You're working through your own personality disorders. When you're learning programming is really interesting, because you may have things that you believe that you're allowed to believe because you don't have to have things right? Programming forces you to have things right. You have been meditating on things that you don't have right for so long. When you try to go do programming and you're looking at these logical structures and everything has to be right, everything has to make sense, you may feel dyslexic because your neural pathways are fortified in the wrong answers, right? And these wrong answers you hold very close to you and part of how you value yourself. So you may go to learn programming and you start getting emotional trying to cope with the dyslexia feeling and with unresolved problems in your life just by trying to learn programming, because it's connected through the fact that this is what's happening in your brain, right? It's a relationship through your biology. It just doesn't have to be a relationship through events in your life. It's a relationship in your biology, and because your biology is connected, it becomes events in your life. So you may not want to face programming because you may not want to face the truth about yourself, and now you have to have everything right. So when people are actually working through these problems, they're becoming different people. It's not just about the knowledge. Who you are after you have the knowledge and you work through the problems to get the knowledge is not going to be the same person with the same expectations you were before that, right? You may be, because your expectations were built upon the fact that you don't have an education and you have things wrong. Now, when you have an education, things get right, your expectations change, and people who maybe once wanted to have these type of capabilities to destroy other people with don't feel that way any longer. In fact, the probability is very low. If it were high, we would have a lot of problems, because we have a lot of problems with people with these capabilities. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a very direct relationship with things going on in the environment. There's a mathematical reason why they're going on in the environment. A lot of people have these types of big capabilities, and they're all responsible people, or else we'd have a lot of problems all around us all the time. That's not, the CIA, the FBI getting involved in making sure we don't have these wars going around all the time and us destroying each other because we're all capable engineers and now we can just go destroy each other. It's because it's God. It's the fruit of the Spirit keeping people in check. It's the design that you ever come to these capabilities to begin with. It reshapes who you are. So I've been, moreover, since the lean marketing, since I realized that we have these massive problems in our environment where the capabilities of scientists and engineers are a lot higher than people without a STEM education. And I saw Mark Cuban and Elon Musk nervous on the news and talking about their solutions that seem to be bent around keeping making sure that they still have money and their companies still have money. This is what it came off to me, and they were really, really crappy solutions that I was listening to them discuss. It seemed like very selfish solutions, kind of trying to shove things under the radar. But I have been around the block, so I was like, well, we got to come up with something because this isn't going to work. People, like, what are you planning to pay people in stocks? This is not a good idea. You're going to have some 24-year-old guy living in a trailer with a new wife and a new baby, getting upset at them because he has to spend his stocks to buy baby formula. This isn't going to work. If it weren't for you, we could all be millionaires. This isn't going to work, man. This is bad. The motives and why people do things trickle down like water and mutate the environment to become a direct representation of all of it. If you're acting from selfish ambitions to begin with, and you're manipulating the narrative to try to maintain your selfish ambitions, that is going to show up across the entire map for everybody that believes you. So while we're all exposed to a scope of data, and we've all been given things, and we have been given our selfish ambitions in many ways, I don't hold anyone accountable personally. I don't, as a neuroscientist, psychologist, engineer, social scientist, I don't know how to like hold people accountable, because it's just a bunch of math I'm looking at, and we just need to fix the math, right? But I have to talk about the problems because that's part of fixing it, right? So lean marketing, that was a lot of work to actually come to that conclusion. Like the solution itself is very elegant. It looks like, anybody could have come up with that. That took me like tons and tons and tons and tons of working for a week straight to finally come to that conclusion for that business model. And it's just a LLC that expands infinitely. Well, it expands to 500 members and then it splits. 498 members and then it splits. I believe into two. Every 498 members, and they decide what they want to do. Each individual's in charge, right? The operating agreement's kind of in charge, but the way that it works is that they can take all their brands and IPs and everything and leave anytime they want. It works on the psychology of people being able to make it in through reading others empathetically test, and the fact that they're being given something to begin with. All their investment is passing this test, and then we give them money, we give them a revenue stream to control. They decide what to do with them from there. We make sure that they're going to be a responsible business partner through a test, fit through this door, or educate yourself until you can, and then we put them in control and do whatever we want. That's, there's certain things that the entire company votes on, but there's a very large revenue section enough to run a medium-sized business that nobody can tell you what to do with it. And if you want to go be completely selfish, that we're just going to have to figure it out, But it works on the law of large numbers like insurance. So the fact is, the probability is lower when they make it through the test that there'll be an incident. An incident would be someone being completely selfish and not contributing back to the company. And there's no punishment. You're not going to have like insurance, your rate goes up. It's not change the risk pool that you're in. That's nothing like that. One big risk pool. So, and you can do that indefinitely. We pair you. There's a personality test. You have to take a third party. They're trying to determine your personality type, and we pair you in a mandatory year-long training program as a 1099 before you ever own a part of the company. And we pair you with 7 other people of different personality types. This is to get experience working with people that don't think like you, but also complement each other's personality. It creates kind of a matrix between each other of value and challenging and building each other at the same time. Someone that's intrinsically motivated, somebody that's motivated by environment, somebody that's motivated by the rewards. We're having you all get together, and you're in an mandatory educational program for psychology, business, marketing, and sales while trying to build a business together and make it successful before the end of the year. And you get to keep the education. The education is not specific to Elite Marketing. The education is going to be with a third party, and that's yours. It's like an associate's degree. You take it wherever you want, and we're just paying for it, and we're paying you to be there and to do that. And then if you make it through, if you stay the entire time as a 1099 contract worker, of course you're allowed to be sick or whatever you need to be, but the point is, if you stay with the program throughout the entire year, regardless of whether you build a successful business or not, honestly, regardless of whether or not you pass the test, there's bonuses for completing landmarks. You get a lot more money if you complete landmarks in a certain amount of time. But honestly, you just need to make it through the year. I'm confident enough in the system for people to just make it through the year, so they can feel confident back in us that we're going to give them what we say we're going to give them. And then we give you control of the company. We give you a revenue stream to control, and there's things in what I call the core services model that everybody votes on that is separate from what you control, and nobody can vote on what you control. Nobody can gang up on you and saying, we don't like the way you're using the money. You can give all the money to charity. You can spend all the money on milkshakes and french fries, doesn't matter. So that is ultimately how I solved a massive problem that I saw with people's expectations, by putting a structure in the environment, a social structure that sets everybody's expectations on something that they can have in life. You can have this, you can have that, you can have Elite Marketing, right? And because the offering is so lucrative and fits in with anybody's lifestyle, anybody's religion, anybody's whatever they do, it calms people down. It gives them something that releases tension in their mind on trying to figure out what they're going to do in the face of these massive capabilities with AI. You don't have to have AI. We have AI. You can use our AI. Our AI is your AI. But you don't have to have AI. You don't have to have anything to do with AI. You can go retire Maui if you want to, because you own the company, right? And we're just giving you money to do what you want. If you make us successful, great. If you don't, great. And we have things. I have the AI in place. If nobody wants to do any work at all, we'll have the AI do all the work. That's fine. So that's how I got my mind wrapped in being less selfish and less driven as a technology entrepreneur, because I was doing the technology entrepreneur thing. I didn't really get the chance. I was a consultant for C-levels, presidents, and owners for technology related things. I mostly developed websites and apps. That's mostly what I did. Content creation, graphic design, but I do everything, right? And I can come in there with other more serious engineering problems if they needed that. That's kind of why they called me, because most of the time everyone calls me. I get business when everyone else says no, because I was never really involved in people's networks as close as they were with others. Not that I want to be, it's just that I wasn't. And I think that my personality is a little loopy anyway. So I get when everybody says no, that's when I get business. Is when I got business, when I was a consultant. And I was working towards, the technology entrepreneur thing, just how my expectations are set, what you can have in life. I just like building companies, and I like building nice experiences for people. That's just what I was doing. Until I realized we have a serious problem. And then I shut everything down that I was doing and started working on that. Now, I'm about to release educational programs. That's what I'm finally getting to after 24 minutes. I'm releasing an education, non-fiction educational book. It's really exciting. It's very soon. This is the most exciting book I've ever released. Because we have problems in how human beings handle human nature. And it's a multifaceted problem. It's that people are given a conscience of things that they shouldn't be given a conscience about, when we need to actually be able to handle these concepts in our mind to operate normally around each other. So one of the book's goals is to overcome that and to give people back what is already theirs, and to frame it into a relationship with God. Because God is, you want God to have your entire body. You want God to have your entire mind. God is love. No one's going to take care of you better, right? So, in every aspect of your life, it should always be about God, right? Regardless of what you're doing. So that's one of the goals in the book. The other goal in the book is giving people a STEM foundation. Is a desperately needed STEM foundation. So what the goal is here is to go from knowing absolutely nothing to having massive capabilities. I'm trying to give people my own capabilities. I have massive capabilities. I'm trying to give them to them in this book and even increase my own. There's some things I don't know and I'm learning as I'm writing this book. The third part of how the book's designed is that it is based on developments. The way that is written is based on developments in neuroscience and psychology, and some other things that I figured out through what's called raw intelligence. There's some things that I don't really understand how my mind works fully. My mind is chaos. It is complete chaos. I have, like, you want to say I hear voices? Sure, whatever. I hear sounds. I hear a lot of things. I see a lot of things. I model everything. My mind has cities running through it. So, sure, whatever. I don't know where everything's coming from. My brain is so sensitive to everything. I don't know where everything is coming from. I could be being inspired by psychics and time travelers, literally, and I want them to have credit for my brain. And so, in what I produce, I don't know. My life is very much just like a singularity. I know about the technological advancement singularity first because I am the technological advancement singularity. That's why people call me, because I don't say no. I never say no. They say, Adam, can we do this? I say, yes, we can do that. And I come up with a way to do it over the phone. I know that we're going to run into these problems with AI, with your expectations being trampled when you ask for something, and now the AI is going to have an education in genetics engineering and going through very serious ethical dilemmas that you never expected because you weren't educated there, because that's who I am, right? When you tell me to do something, my brain explodes all over the place into everything I know. And if you told me to make you Smurfs, I am coming up with a way in my mind to genetically engineer human embryos, put them through an invasive educational program with cybernetics, and custom design you Smurfs that are the Smurfs and they're actual real biological entities. And do you know how serious that is? I don't do these things. It's in my mind, and everything's just exploding all the time, right? So I know about the technological advancement singularity because I am the technological advancement singularity. And when I was making a AI bot to code for me, I ran into these problems accidentally, because I was just trying to make it code, but I made it too capable. So I have educational stuff coming out. Look forward to it. I'm trying to if everybody had my capabilities, I would not have problems with people being disturbed by what I say and what I say I can do, and jealous. I wouldn't have these problems. I don't want these problems. I can't do anything, man. I can't do anything. I'm in a society where people hate me for being capable. So this is a really big problem. And they don't see me. There's somehow I end up in these competitions in people's minds like I'm their peer. And I think it's because of how amicable and friendly I am. I think there might be more dynamics going on. There's something more rudimentary to our existence in my relationship and why I'm on planet Earth as Adam Etzel. And I think that has something to do with this competitive thing I get from people, because they need to have my capabilities. They just feel like a God-given right. And I agree. You have a God-given right to me because that's what I want you to have. It's just that we're kind of in this weird divide with that. And I need to get people caught up because people's expectations are wrong. Anything you can do, I can do. Adam. Anything you can do, I can do, Adam. Okay, no, I totally believe, totally agree. I have massive capabilities that people like don't like really wrap their mind around, but you can do them. Okay, we need to get you there. And that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to releasing a nonfiction book soon that gets people there. Thank you. Oh, and I'm also releasing State of Loki as a educational VR app, and you're going to love that too. Thank you.